Hey everybody, it's John 3000 Hitman. Today is February 19th, and I am going to show you two jerseys, and we're going to talk about similarities. 1919, Chicago White Sox, Houston Astros. Let's talk about it. As you look through the players now, you know, some of the images of Joe Jackson. Here's the 1919 White Sox, their team picture. Then it rolls in to 2017 Astros. All right, everybody, it's John, 3000 Hitman. And I showed you those jerseys at the beginning. The first one is the 1919 Chicago Black Sox jersey. The other one is a Houston Astros jersey. It's been 100 years from now that the Black Sox flew the World Series in 1919, and now you got 2020. You have the Houston Astros in their scandal. So I thought it'd be interesting. You know, my show, we don't always talk about just cards themselves. We talk about baseball for the love of the game, and then cards are also in there. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about the Black Sox scandal, the Astros scandal, the similarities and the differences between the two. So I hope you enjoy it. A lot of you probably already know this stuff, but that's okay. It's all about just learning more and trying to figure out about baseball and learning about the players and what made them great. So what I'm going to do is read you a quote from Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis, who found and banned the Black Sox. It says, regardless of the verdict of the jurors, no player that throws a ball game, no player that entertains the proposals or promises to throw a game, no player that sits in conference with a bunch of crooked players and gamblers where the ways and means of throwing games are discussed and does not promptly tell his ball club will ever play professional baseball again. You would think that Rob Manfred maybe should take some baseball history lessons and learn a little bit about what's going on instead of covering this up and excusing the actions of all the Houston Astros. Right here, what I have in front of me from my collection, it's a ball from that period. The ball is signed on the sweet spot by the second baseman of the Black Sox scandal, Eddie Collins, and a member of the 3000 Hit Club and the Baseball Hall of Fame. On the back of this ball is Kid Gleason. It's really hard to tell. Kid Gleason was the manager of the Black Sox during the Black Sox scandal in the World Series in 1919. The similarities. You know, I love the Black Sox. If you guys ever get a chance to read it, there's a great book called Scandal on the South Side. The Black Sox and the Houston Astros both cheated. Bottom line, they got caught. The difference is the Houston Astros and the players are not owning up to their wrong and the things that they did and the cheating that they did. It's said that, and from the information I've read, Eddie Seacott, who was the pitcher who threw the very first pitch that initiated the scandal with the Black Sox, was remorseful from the day it happened to the day he died. He said that he tried to live out the rest of his life in a way that people would know that he was a good guy, just made a wrong mistake. Shoeless Joe Jackson, I'll read you some stats. Shoeless Joe Jackson played left field. Joe Jackson during the 1919 World Series hit .375. He had 12 hits, the only home run, and 3 doubles. His fielding percentage was 1,000. He had 16 putouts, and 3 of them were at plays at the plate. Joe Jackson was remorseful to the day he died. In fact, it's said that at one point Ty Cobb came and visited him, and he said he didn't think that anybody would ever remember him because of what they did during the World Series. The Black Sox, each of the players took an average, of $20,000, with the exception of Joe Jackson, took $5,000. They were found guilty in the year of 1920. The courts found them not guilty. But Kennesaw Mountain Landis said that, as that quote said, that no one would ever play baseball again, that they threw a World Series and cheated. Now you fast forward to 2020. You got the Houston Astros. Everybody's making excuses for them. Crane, who is the manager, the owner of the Astros, said he didn't see that it threw or made a difference in the games. He's crazy. Manfred, I have no idea what Manfred's doing with this. Manfred is trying to excuse the players by them coming forward with the Baseball Players Association, and the Players Association said that the players come forward that they will find immunity. You guys, I don't see much of a difference from this. Although the Black Sox took money, and through the series, the Houston Astros didn't accept anything. They just cheated. They had the cameras in the outfield. They had the trash cans down in the well of the dugout. They had supposedly the buzzers now. For me, being a Black Sox scandal buff and following that and reading up about it, I think the Chicago Black Sox at one point were probably considered the greatest team to ever take a field. Of that team, you have a left fielder, a third baseman, a shortstop, a second baseman, a pitcher, and a catcher. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential and 2 Hall of Famers that were in that group. Shoeless Joe Jackson should have made the Hall of Fame. Buck Weaver, who played third base, should have made the Hall of Fame. Pitcher Eddie Seacott should have made the Hall of Fame. But the ones who did were second baseman Eddie Collins and the catcher Ray Schock, both of them. Ray Schock and Eddie Collins never were found guilty or were banished from it. They were found to have nothing to do with it, but they played and they knew about it, which is ironic because Kennesaw Mountain Landis in his quote said anybody that knows about it and doesn't come forward and tell his owner or club will never play. But that didn't work out because Eddie Collins and Ray Schock both were elected into the Hall of Fame, and Eddie Collins is part of the 3,000 hit club. Now, some differences. Chicago Black Sox were playing for Comiskey. Horrible owner. He didn't pay those men very well for the caliber of players that they were. He made those players pay for their laundry. Hence, that's why they were called the Black Sox, in conjunction with also being tarnished. But if you read anything, you know that they were called the Black Sox because they didn't change or wash their uniforms because they didn't have the money to do it, and they were also on a protest. Now you look at the players you have with Bregman, Correa, Altuve, Springer. These men, when confronted with it, never had to go to court like the Black Sox did. Never stood trial for it. Granted, different thing. The mob were involved. Gangsters were involved in the 1919 and some money were involved. But my point of the whole thing is that there is no difference between the two. If you're going to do this to the Astros, then you need to take the Chicago Black Sox, the Chicago White Sox. You need to give those men all their elections into the Hall of Fame, and you need to bring those people in. Joe Jackson, Buck Weaver, and Eddie Seacott need to go into the Hall of Fame, not to mention Hap Felch and some of the other guys who played on that team. To me, that is the greatest team that's ever taken a field next to the 1927 Bronx Bombers and the New York Yankees. These guys were so good that they could win on command. That was the whole point of the series. They didn't have anybody banging on trash cans. They didn't have anybody shooting in signals. They didn't have anybody stealing signals. They can win or lose because that's how good they were. So they decided to win or lose when they wanted to make it look, average or normal, that they just lost the game. But they lost because they wanted to lose. Now, it's also been said that the Cincinnati Reds were a better team. I don't think it was at that point. The 1919 Chicago Black Sox will go down as the greatest team to ever assemble on a field, in my opinion. Like I said, go out and read some stuff, read the information from the Baseball Hall of Fame. I know there's that movie out, 8 Men Out, but it's Hollywood. It does no justice, and it's a difference between Hollywood and real-life history in baseball. So as I close, I want to talk and just throw out the fact that it's going to be an interesting year in 2020 with the Houston Astros. Mark my word, this will be up there with the 1919 Black Sox. The other thing it makes you, begs the question is, how are these players' cards? Altuve, Springer, maybe Justin Verlander. How are these cards going to affect their prices and popularity and financially? Is it going to go up, down? Are people not going to care? And how will it affect, if it affects, those guys going into the Hall of Fame when it comes time for them to be up for election? I thought it interesting as we close that Topps 2020 Series 1 released this, this last month. In that set is a card insert, and it says that the Houston Astros is the winningest or most popular team of the decade. I don't know if Topps realized that that was probably some bad choice and choice of words as they put that in to that set. If you guys can go out and find that insert, that has the team celebrating for the World Series, and it has them on the field. So it's interesting that they are been chosen, the Houston Astros been chosen by Topps as the team of the decades. So with that being said, I hope everybody enjoyed this little bit of history. Come back this week. We'll be talking about my top 10 Mike Trout cards, and I will talk to everybody later. Have a good week, you guys.